Welcome, curious minds, to techdaily.ai. Today, we're embarking on a really crucial deep dive. The topic, cloud governance. Now, I know governance can sound a bit, well, bureaucratic, right? Maybe a bit dry, but stick with us here because this is where the real insights happen. We're talking massive saving, serious security wins. Think of this deep dive as your shortcut, really, to understanding how businesses make sure their cloud stuff is efficient, secure, compliant, all the important things, even when it gets super complex. Before we really unpack all of this, though, just a quick word from our sponsor. This deep dive is brought to you by Stonefly. They're your trusted solution provider and advisor in, well, pretty much everything enterprise data. Storage, backup, disaster recovery, hyper-converged VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters, AI servers, SA365, even turnkey security appliances, public and private cloud. Lots of stuff. For more info, definitely check out stonefly.com.
Okay, so let's get into it. Cloud governance. It's not just a list of rules you tack on a wall, is it?
No, not at all. It's much more strategic than that. It's really about managing, controlling, and overseeing your cloud computing services in a smart way. It's the framework, the operating system, if you will, that keeps everything running smoothly and, importantly, aligned with the business.
Aligned with the business. So how does that work exactly?
Well, think of it as a holistic approach. It ensures that everything you do in the cloud, every service you spin up, every bit of data you store it, all lines up with your company policies, your strategic goals, and crucially, all those regulatory requirements. We're talking about key functions here. Things like cost management, making sure you're not wasting money, resource optimization, security, obviously, compliance, performance monitoring. Automation is huge too. Without it, honestly, cloud infrastructure just gets incredibly complex, really hard to manage effectively or securely.
Right. It sounds vital, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. What actually happens if a company kind of doesn't have good cloud governance? What breaks?
Yeah, that's a really important question. And the consequences, they can be pretty severe, actually. There's data showing that organizations with, above average IT governance, they can see profits that are over 20% higher.
20% higher profits, just from good governance.
Exactly. And the flip side, a lack of cloud governance often leads to, well, a whole mess of problems. You see things like misalignment with what the business actually wants to achieve, frequent exceptions to policies, which, opens doors for risks, projects get stalled, and then there are the really painful ones, costly compliance failures or regulatory penalties.
That sounds serious, like really serious. Can you maybe give us a couple of quick real-world examples? Where did poor governance really bite someone?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen scenarios. Like we call one the overage problem. Picture this. A mid-sized manufacturer growing fast, buying up smaller companies. Sounds good, right? Growth. But there was no central cloud governance. No one looking at the cloud service agreements during the acquisitions. No review of the terms. Usage wasn't capped. The result, first month, their cloud costs were 30% higher than they budgeted. Just boom, out of control spending.
30% over budget in 1 month.
Yeah.
Ouch. That's not just a rounding error.
Not at all. That hits the bottom line hard, especially for a manufacturer. Or think about this compliance case study. A major American city's tax department, big critical system. They were doing a sauce migration, moving their core tax system to the cloud, planned it for ages. But they waited until literally 2 weeks before go live to talk to their compliance officer.
2 weeks? Oh, no. Why?
They just kind of assumed.
Yeah.
Assumed cloud controls were basically the same as their old on-prem stuff.
That sounds like a dangerous assumption.
It was. The whole migration got delayed by 2 months. Think about the cost, the disruption, the risk to public trust. These aren't just small oopsies. They have real financial and operational impact.
Okay. Point taken. Governance isn't optional. It's foundational. So if we want to build this right, what are the absolute essential ingredients, the core pillars?
Right. So if you boil it down, it really comes down to several key capabilities. First and foremost, cost management and optimization. This is huge. It's about finding where the money's going, identifying waste and cutting it out, making sure resources are used effectively.
Keeping the bills under control. Makes sense.
Then there's compliance management. Absolutely critical. This is about sticking to the rules, like GDPR in Europe or HIPAA for healthcare data in the US. Get this wrong, and you're looking at potentially massive fines, not to mention reputational damage.
You mentioned GDPR fines. Just how big can those actually get? Are we talking pocket change or something more?
Oh, definitely not pocket change. Quite significant is an understatement, really. Fines for GDPR non-compliance can go as high as 20 million euros. Or, and this is the kicker, 4% of an entity's annual global revenue, whichever is greater.
4% of global revenue per infringement.
Per infringement, yeah. And we've already seen it happen. Amazon got hit with a 636 million fine. That really woke people up.
Wow. Okay. 636 million definitely puts it into perspective. So besides dodging enormous fines, what else is critical for, keeping the cloud environment solid and trustworthy?
Well, next up is identity and access management, IAM. Super important. This is basically about controlling who gets access to what. Think of it as your digital bouncer. It prevents unauthorized people from getting into sensitive data or messing with critical systems. The right access for the right people at the right time, nothing more.
Got it. Locks on the right doors.
Exactly. Then, closely related, is data protection and privacy. Making sure sensitive information in the cloud is properly safeguarded. Like personal data sitting in containers. That needs to be encrypted at all layers. Network connections between services need to be secure too.
So protecting data wherever it is stored, moving around.
Precisely. And building on that, you need strong security policy enforcement. This is about actively protecting against threats, maintaining data integrity, keeping things confidential. And finally, you absolutely need disaster recovery and backup, planning for the worst. This ensures business continuity. If something goes wrong, and things do go wrong, you can recover quickly, minimize downtime, and crucially, avoid catastrophic data loss. It's your safety net.
Okay, that's a lot to juggle. Cost, compliance, access, data protection, security policies, DRR. It sounds like you'd need a whole army of people just to keep track. Are there specific tools that help organizations actually do all this?
Yeah, it would be overwhelming to do manually for sure. And thankfully, what's fascinating is the sheer variety of tools out there now. On the commercial side, you've got some really robust solutions, things like Manage Engine Log 360 for spotting threats in real time, or BMC Helix Cloud Cost for getting a grip on budgets. IBM Turbonomic is great for automating workloads based on performance and cost. These are powerful platforms designed to tackle specific parts of the governance puzzle.
Makes sense, but what if you're looking for something maybe more flexible or you're working with open source? Are there good options there too?
Absolutely. The open source community has produced some fantastic tools for cloud governance and security. They offer flexibility, transparency, and often really rapid innovation. For example, there's Open Policy Agent, or OPA. It's become quite popular for what's called Cloud Security Posture Management. OPA lets you write policies as code using a language called Rego to enforce fine-grained access controls across your stack. Really powerful for consistency.
Policies as code. We'll come back to that. What else?
Then there's Falco. It focuses on runtime security, especially for Kubernetes and containers. It taps into system calls to detect suspicious activity as it happens, like an intrusion detection system, but built for the cloud-native world.
Okay, so OPA sets the rules beforehand. Falco watches what's happening live.
Kind of, yeah. And another really useful one is Checkov. This one focuses on scanning your infrastructure as code your Terraform files, CloudFormation templates, things like that.
Right.
It finds security issues and misconfigurations before you even deploy anything. It's about catching problems early, shifting security left.
Shift left, finding problems earlier in the development cycle.
Exactly. These open source tools can be incredibly valuable additions to your governance toolkit.
So these tools definitely help manage specific areas. But you mentioned policy as code with OPA. How does that idea help organizations move beyond just manual checks or running individual tools? How do you automate this governance stuff at scale?
Ah, yes. Policy as code, or PAC. This is a really critical concept for modern cloud governance. Think about traditional audits. Often they rely on sampling, right? Checking a few systems here and there. That can miss huge gaps, especially in large dynamic environments. And it's slow. PAC flips that. You define your compliance rules, your security standards, your cost policies in code, just like application code.
So the rules themselves become software.
Precisely. And then you can automate the enforcement of those rules. The system can continuously check your entire cloud environment against these code and policies. It automatically detects violations, non-compliant resources, potential risks. Sometimes it can even automatically fix them. That's called remediation. It takes the manual effort, the human error, largely out of the equation. It makes compliance continuous, not just a point-in-time check.
That sounds like a game changer. Can you give us a really concrete example, like using one of those tools, say Cloud Custodian, which you mentioned is based on this idea? How would it actually find a problem using policy as code?
Sure. Cloud Custodian is a great example. It's widely used. It uses simple YAML files to define policies. So what resource type to look at, like storage volumes, what filters to apply, like is it encrypted, and what action to take, like notify someone or tag it for deletion. So imagine testing security controls in AWS using Cloud Custodian policies. You could have a policy to detect unencrypted storage volumes. In a lab test, a policy like this found an unencrypted EDS volume in literally half a second, 0.52 seconds.
Half a second. Wow.
Yeah. Or another policy, identifies security groups allowing risky traffic. It found 44 security groups allowing SSH access from anywhere on the internet. That's the 0.0.0.00 rule. A huge security no-no, found them almost instantly.
Things a manual check might easily miss or take ages to find.
Exactly. Or finding privileged accounts without multi-factor authentication, MFA. Identified 11 accounts missing that crucial second factor of authentication, big risk. Or detecting publicly accessible S3 storage buckets. Found one bucket configured to allow anyone in the world to access its contents. Classic data breach scenario. Caught immediately by the policy.
That is incredibly powerful, just knowing that automation can find these critical issues almost instantly across everything, not just the sample. It really changes the security posture, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It shifts you from being reactive, finding problems after they've happened, to being proactive, preventing them or catching them the moment they appear, and looking ahead, say, towards 2025 and beyond. We're seeing some clear trends emerging in cloud governance. AI and machine learning are getting integrated much more deeply for predictive analytics and cost management forecasting spend, spotting anomalies, and for much more advanced threat detection.
So the systems get smarter about anticipating problems.
Exactly. And automation for security and compliance is just going to get more sophisticated, more integrated, keeping up with new threats, new regulations automatically.
Interesting. And what about sustainability? Is that becoming part of the governance picture too?
Yes, absolutely. That's a really interesting development. Sustainability metrics are starting to emerge. Tools are beginning to offer ways to monitor and even optimize the environmental impact of your cloud footprint. It's becoming part of that holistic view.
So tracking carbon footprint alongside cost and security.
Potentially, yeah. But if you look at what organizations are most focused on right now, it's still heavily weighted towards cost optimization and comprehensive identity and access management. Those remain top priorities as clouds get bigger and more complex. What's maybe becoming less critical, relatively speaking, is purely manual resource provisioning. Automation and intelligent optimization are really taking over there.
Okay, so putting this all together, for an organization listening right now, maybe they're just starting out with cloud, or maybe they know they need to improve their governance game. What's the advice? What's a practical path forward?
Well, the key is really adopting a structured and, importantly, a continuous approach. It's not a one-off project. The Object Management Group, they're a standards body. They outline a pretty helpful 7-step process. It provides a good roadmap. You start with understand your needs, really figure out what governance means for your business aligned with your goals.
Don't just copy someone else's rules.
Exactly. Then benchmark existing programs. See where you are today, what's working, what isn't, be honest. Third, select a governance framework, things like NIST, ISO, COBIT. Pick one that fits your needs to provide structure. Fourth, align with compliance. Make absolutely sure your plan covers all the regulations you're subject to. GDPR, HPA, PCI DSS, whatever applies.
Critical step. Avoid those fines.
Definitely. Then establish the program. This means clear roles, responsibilities, who owns what. Make it official. Step 6, define governance metrics. How will you measure success? What KPIs matter? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it right.
Makes sense. Track progress.
And the final step, maybe the most crucial, sustain your program. Cloud governance isn't static. Technology changes, your business changes, threats change. You need to constantly review, adapt, and improve. It has to be a living process.
We have definitely covered a lot of ground today, from, what cloud governance even is to the pretty scary consequences of getting it wrong, and then diving into these powerful tools and automation approaches like policy as code. I think the takeaway is just crystal clear, isn't it? Understanding and implementing solid cloud governance. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's absolutely fundamental, a strategic imperative for anyone serious about using the cloud effectively. It really goes beyond just the tech. It's about enabling the business to move faster, but safely, controlling costs, and ultimately maintaining trust in this digital world.
Absolutely. And maybe a provocative thought to leave folks with. As cloud innovation keeps accelerating at this incredible pace, the actual meaning of governance has to evolve too, doesn't it? It's becoming less about rigid top-down control and much more about enabling secure, cost-effective agility. It's about setting guardrails that empower teams to innovate safely, rather than just putting up roadblocks.
Yeah.
It's a subtle but really important shift.
That's a great point. Enabling agility, not just restricting it. Well, a huge thanks again to Stonefly for sponsoring today's deep dive. And speaking of solutions that fit with these governance principles, if you're looking for secure, reliable storage, especially with an eye on data protection and compliance, Stonefly has an incredible offer. A 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS for just $8,995. That immutability and air-gapping really speaks to the data protection and disaster recovery pillars we talked about. It's a compelling solution for enterprise environments. You can find out more at stonefly.com. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, keep digging for those insights and stay well informed.